record. And I lost my other. Oh, there it is. Next. Preparing live streaming preview. Go live. There is a humming, almost like a refrigerator.
The humming on my end?
Yep, but it stops when you talk.
You know, okay. Other than, do you hear it when I turn the microphone off?
Yes. No, it stopped. It's not there anymore.
It could be the computer, I'm wondering. I mean, I know people were talking behind me. My wife is leaving, but it could be.
I can hear people talking.
Okay.
Not anymore, and the sound is low.
Okay. My sound is low, my voice?
No, the background noise is low.
Okay, yeah, there isn't any. That's what it was.
Okay. I guess we go ahead.
Okay.
Go live. Hey, I am here with Joe Sayles Jr. And we're going to talk to him about how he hosts his summits, how he set them up, and how he works with lead gen to further his summits. Hey, Joe, do you want to also introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Joe Sayles from NV Digital Solutions. I'm a lead generation strategist, for lack of a shorter way of saying what I do. And one of the ways I market my business and market myself is via summits. And so that's how I got invited here today.
Yep. So, Joe, what's the first thing you do when you're ready to set up and host a summit?
My very first thing to do is funny because I'm getting ready to go through this process right now. And my mindset begins with, what is it I want to accomplish in the end? The summit in itself is not the end point. The summit in itself is like a conveyor belt to whatever my end goal is. And so with me, summits are not, I haven't done a whole lot of summits, but I've done, I've done 3 or 4 of them right now. And when it starts by me deciding what my end goal is going to be. So in a particular case, it's, what do I want to do next? Am I going to be having a webinar? And even the webinar is not the end goal. It's really, what product do I wish to sell? And from that point, if the product I wish to sell is my course, is one of my courses, then I start with the course, and whatever that course topic is, then I back in to creating a webinar that's going to be based around that, or a workshop that's going to be based on leading into that particular course. And from the webinar backing further, I back into a summit that I would like to host and make the theme of the summit related to the course. And even going a step further, I will create a lead magnet that relates to the theme that will go lead into the summit, which will lead into the webinar, which leads into the course. So that's my mindset to start a summit, is to start from the end point. I always, did you ever do like mazes when you were a kid, like 3rd, 4th grade?
Yeah.
Okay. So my mindset, the reason for asking that is, did you start from the front and go to the end of the maze? Or did you start from the back end of the maze and go to the front?
I did both.
Mm-hmm. and you always know, if there was the kids in the class who were racing, the kids in the class who were always fastest started at the end and went to the front, to find the beginning of the maze, and that's how they can finish first. Well, that's the same principle and concept I apply in creating my virtual summit. Is I start from the end goal.
I just realized that your thing, what I like about you, is that you do funnels, and part of your summit is your funnel.
It's you can't look at what I'm doing and not realize, I mean, you can realize, you might not realize it, but you can't look at what I'm doing and if you know anything about funnels, anything that I'm doing is related to a funnel. It always is a funneled process. It's always a systematic process. And it's funny, we use the word funnels now, but to me, I really think of it as it's just a systematic process to get from A to Z. When we use the word funnels, there's so much, it's been overused and there's so many people who are talking about them. And in my opinion, basically yes, it's a closed loop system if you do it right. And basically what it means is you reach out to somebody, you contact them, and you have a process to get them from the initial contact all the way down to the end point of what you want them to do. And in my system, it goes beyond that, because like many people, it goes beyond that to you want them to be loyal customers and continuing to shop with you or continuing to spend their money with you or whatever, however you want to look at it. But the process goes beyond that, because you want to make those people brand loyalists. And those brand loyalists, when they become brand loyalists, you can get them to become brand ambassadors, and they'll share your brand, your things. And a good case in point would be, we are in the same networking group, and we share an affinity in this group for AppSumo. Well, as brand ambassadors, we tell other people about AppSumo and that there's opportunities in AppSumo that they should be, checking into if they are the ideal client or the ideal, person who would benefit from it. And so, that's everything I do is based around a funnel that works like that. And I'm trying to get to the point that I create brand ambassadors, because when you create a brand ambassador, you create what I call an infinity loop, because guess what? The brand ambassador is putting people back into your funnel to bring them back around. So it's, one of my products is called an infinity double funnel. And the infinity double funnel, the reason it's the double part of the funnel, I just explained the funnel, the double part of it leads into the secondary part where you always hear about retargeting and remarketing, and that's part of the nurturing process. You have, in a funnel, you have your brand awareness, make them aware of what you're doing with a lead magnet or things of that nature. Then down the funnel, you do things to further their interest and to get them to make it to a point of making this decision, then you get them to purchase, right?
Mhm.
And so the example of that is my summits are the next phase. It's to gauge interest, to give them some information, to see if they're, give them interest across a few things. And then the next step is to put them in a webinar, which pulls them further to the point of making a buying decision. And that's where we throw out at the end of the webinar an opportunity to purchase a product to do even more. So that's, literally the funnel process. And the double part of the funnel is in between, for those who might stop interest or things of that nature. We send them an email, we send them a nurturing sequence to tell more about the background, more things that might relate to them, touch on their pain points and how we might solve their issues. So yes, my virtual summit is a part of the process of running a lead generation funnel.
Okay. So you mentioned brand ambassadorship and AppSumo. I love AppSumo.
Mhm.
I have no idea really why I like them besides their deals. I know they put out emails, they put out blog posts, they have a YouTube channel, they even did a summit.
Right.
I don't pay attention to all of that stuff, yet I am a brand ambassador for them. Do
Yes, you
you
are.
know how the process comes about? How do you get to have someone to be a brand ambassador? Your work. I love your work. I tell people about your work. How did I become a brand ambassador of yours?
By great service, by having a great product and a product that solves your problems and a product that solves your issues. That's how you get repeat customers. And when you have that and you're doing, there's got to be, to me, there's got to be a combination of good things that you're offering. It's got to be something that might be a little bit different, or it's fitting to the right customer. It doesn't always have to be different, but it's take on a brand and how that solves you and how that makes you feel and how that helps you solve your issues. And if that's doing things positively for you, then you become a repeat customer. And if you become a repeat customer, then we might turn around and do special things like, discount products for you, or do a better bundle that you get more value out of it. And then we realize that if you are a brand ambassador for us, guess what you're doing? You are part of our marketing team, whether you realize it or not. When you're part of our marketing team, then that you're one less person. The discount we give to you or on something, which is, we think of it like it's a oh goodness, I just had the word at the tip of my tongue. It is a loss leader, if you will. Any discounting is like a loss leader, and we have to have a loss leader somewhere anyway, because we're going to spend money one way or another. And so if we spend, we give that deal, the money we would be spending in the form of discounts or anything else to our clients, then they're our marketing. And who better to get somebody to become your client? Is it better to have a cold ad go out to people who don't know anything about you? You're going to convert a lower percentage of them. But if you have a warm body, a live person who's out there, who knows your products, who knows how your company works, and they're out there telling other people about you, then they're the best salesman you have. You don't have to pay them a full-time salary. You're giving them, loss leader discounting and things of that nature, and they're working in relationship to helping you grow your business. So this is just one of many ways to market your business. And to me, it's one of the important ways, because that's the kind of thing that makes your business efficient. And part of my, my mission is to teach business owners the ways, to teach solopreneur business owners the ways to make their businesses the most efficient and the most effective possible. Ooh, there's a delay here. And now I'm not hearing you. Give me a second, Erica.
What about now?
Oh, I hear you now. I
think my mic was off. Sorry. What
Okay.
I like about you is that you're very generous with your information. And if I have questions, it's not a problem for you to help me. What I liked about your first summit, it was information, helpful information right off the bat. I redid my Facebook page because of your first summit. And I really like that you're generous with your information. You don't mind sharing.
Well, thank you. There's a point to it, because there's some definite there's some secret sauce, there's some seasoning in the mix, and the thing is, I already know that the way I convey the information is different than the average person. It's when you get beyond that and you go further into what I'm doing. I'm at the stage of bringing people in from an interest standpoint, and then at this stage of where I'm at in the business, and getting ready to teach my courses and everything, a lot of the information is out there. It's the compilation of what information needs to connect to, what two things need to connect. And so the biggest thing is that all this information, you can find it for free. The problem is, you're not going to find this for
Either you're froze or I'm froze. Yep. And maybe I would have to refresh. Or we are still live, and I'm not sure which one is which. Okay, so I am going to refresh. Hey.
Yeah, I could see the my tag here. It says Erica. It has your name in the bottom of it, and the colors were changing. It was initially white, then they changed to yellow, and then they changed to red. And I could tell in your movement sometimes you were freezing, and it just started getting more and more.
Yeah, I was saying, well, I guess I was talking to myself, and I was asking, I don't know if you're froze or I'm froze, and this was we'll reload in a minute. But making you a co-host was supposed to cut down on that.
Oh, really?
Yep. Oh well.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh well, we're still here.
Hooray. So do you remember what you were saying?
I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but But basically, I was saying there's a lot of free information out there. That everything I'm doing, the largest part of it, you can find out there for free. It's the system. It's systematically putting it together. There's so much information that people don't know where to start. They don't know where to end, and they don't know what, everything works. Everything works, and it literally does if you do it. The
Yeah.
things that are an issue is that people don't have a system for applying it. They don't know when they should be applying which thing. They don't know which thing they should be applying. As an instance, I gave you a systematic approach to what I do, and that is lead magnet to summit to webinar to sale. And that's a short, 4-step process. But I know that I want to go in that sequence, and people don't. They might want to do this. There's people that want to do one thing, they want to do another thing, and the thing is, they don't have a system. They don't have a systematic approach. So I learned over the years that of doing digital marketing, that the process is what's missing. There's People don't have a strategy. And basically, I had somebody coin this term, help me coin this term, digital literacy. They don't have a digital foundation. And so, I used to be an elementary school teacher years ago, and I ran martial arts schools at the same time. That's how I got into digital marketing, believe it or not, because of doing graphic design stuff for my businesses to be able to promote and advertise anything. The long and short of it is, as a teacher, one thing I learned is that, I taught fourth and fifth grade, the majority of the time fourth grade. And when I was in schools where there would be transiency, students would come to me, and I could tell that they had been moving around a lot in different,
Mhm.
I could tell that they had moved around a lot, and they had lived in different positions or moved into different schools, because even though the state would say you're supposed to learn this and you're supposed to learn that, you're supposed to learn this and you're supposed to learn that, they would be taught at different times of the year by different teachers in different schools. So a kid might be getting the same subject twice in the school year by moving, and then miss out on 2 subjects because they moved. Well, the same is, I started thinking about it, and it's pretty similar in digital marketing, whereas everybody's heard that they need this and they've heard that they need that, but they don't really, first of all, they don't have the training to know what they should know for digital marketing to run their business. And the second part is that they have holes. There's a whole lot of things they don't realize they should be doing for them. And they don't have a strategy. They don't recognize what they should be doing for themselves and what's going to work best for their business. And so I learned that this through working on my own business solutions. Then I worked in, corporate America doing digital marketing for a couple of different companies, and I saw the same process and the same mistakes and the same lack of a strong strategy in each of those. And then I worked at a company that had several, I worked in 2 of them that had several marketing teams that were doing things, but they were working in digital silos. One of them, the company, well, one of them heavily, that everybody in that company was doing something completely related to the goal, but not communicating on how they can align the marketing processes. And then, the biggest one, they were kind of in alignment, but they weren't completely. The bottom line was they didn't have a uniform strategy where every team member was working on it together and communicating about it and whatnot. So I saw this in the big corporate America, and then I, got to working with small business owners, and I saw that small business owners are making the same mistakes, and corporate America is making them, and small business owners are making them. And the bottom line is they don't know how to create a strategy. So between understanding what a digital funnel is and creating a digital marketing strategy, there's a lot of misalignment, a lot of gaps, a lot of things missing. And you got to have a foundational, it's like you got to have a foundation. You have to build on a foundation. So if you start with a good marketing understanding of what there is out there, and then you create a strategy starting from the end of the maze and leading back to the beginning of the maze, then you can start saying, I need this, I need that, I need this, and I need that to get to my goal. And the other component that people are really missing heavily is that they still cannot identify their ideal buyer. they still cannot, they still don't know what kind of lead they're looking for to be able to try to convert that person into a buyer. I run a lot of Facebook ads, and for clients, and one of the things that I have learned over time is when you get your Facebook audience perfect, it's in the zone, then you're in the right, I think of it as being in a pond. You're in the right pond. And when you're in the right pond, if you know that you want a certain type of client, then you get your line depth to the right thing. You've got the right bait on the line, and you'll attract the right people. And all of a sudden you start, bringing clients in. It's about attraction. So by defining your ideal target market and your ideal audience, you'll find the right client, and you'll attract them to make them buyers, to bring them into your funnel, by way of giving them free information to get them to your summit, and to move on down the line and make them a brand ambassador who will bring other people into the funnel, and then it'll go on and on and on. Theoretical, and it works. And I do know there's a big time marketer or digital marketing coach out there. Her name is Marissa Murgatroyd,
I
and
know her.
and she has a product that does, her way of doing things. She's basically over the years figured out how to close that loop, and she doesn't spend as much because she converts such a high percentage of people, and her brand ambassadorship works so heavily that she has an infinity loop.
Yeah.
So
So when I first got started, I thought I needed to know how to help people attract clients, attract sponsors, uh, set up their summits. Now, all I really wanted to do was help them set up the summit. And I thought all of these things were a part of it. And I need to know all of these things so I can help my clients do those things.
mhm.
And I'm thinking all these things may go together, but maybe one person shouldn't know them. Maybe, like you said, I should have a team and everybody should be on the same page with it. Stuff like that. Oh,
you know
I understand what you're saying.
and one of the things is that, my wife and I, we're my team, we had to put our team back together, because one of the things is knowing everything is not doing everything. Knowing
Yeah.
everything is guiding the strategy. So if you're guiding the strategy, you have to be in a position where you're guiding the strategy. And then you have to have a team of people around you and helping you. So, in working with you on the summit that I did, the first two summits I did completely by myself. I trained how to do this. I did it, and it is possible to run your summit by yourself if you do it. I did a virtual summit that was recorded. I do virtual summits that are recorded. And when you do it in that fashion, it is possible to do it by yourself. It's a lot of work. And I know after the fact, I just need a rest when I say I need a rest, I need at least 2 weeks to recuperate, because I'm only doing it with 8 people. I'm not a natural born interviewer or with questions on my mind, but the
You are
people
a
that I
great
had,
interviewer.
well, thank you. I had some good training, and the training that I had has prepared me well. Um, because otherwise I'd be in a mental blank, not knowing where I'm going or what I'm going to do. But you have to prepare. That's one thing. When you do it, as you prepare, you learn about the client, you learn about, or the speaker, you learn about what they do, how that relates. And so there's a lot of investigation behind the scenes that people don't realize, to be able to figure out who you're going to interview. And again, strategy. I start from the end goal and I come backward. So anybody who's on my, that's interviewed for my virtual summit is related to my end goal and my end topic. And so I have to see what they do, what they are. It's an opportunity for them to be in front of an audience. It's an opportunity for me to have speakers that relate to my subject matters. And so I like I like that part of it. But back to what I was saying, putting on a summit and having help, you can't do it. You can do it all. It's very difficult. And the thing is, I like to be very effective and efficient. And so I've learned how to effectively put on a summit. My first one was done with virtual summit software, Mark T. Wade, Dr. Mark T. Wade. I loved his, first of all, I got involved with him for his software, but then I saw that his software has all this training, and now the training is the key piece that I love from what I got from him. the training was just so in depth that it prepared me to do summits no matter what kind of software I'm using. And so my first one, I didn't realize I had to pay for a couple of things to run my first one, but I knew that I could. I use Kartra. It's an all-in-one solution for websites, and it does many different things. And I actually paired Kartra with his virtual summit software, which I didn't have to do, except that I had a couple components built into Kartra, so I wouldn't have to pay extra for them, to piece to his summit. And anyway, in doing that, I redid the summit. During that time, I had gotten sick, and I didn't get the summit out there when I wanted to. Um, Nor with the consistent flow of what to do from the start of the summit to the end of the summit. And I have a checklist. And during that time, I dropped because I got sick and I got back on. I missed the fact of to set up the promotion sequence strong. So it was a technological launch, and it worked. And then I relaunched it again for the Thanksgiving weekend, and that one I did on a completely different platform. It was completely done on Kartra, and that one worked like I wanted it to work. I just, again, failed I say failed, but I really didn't fail. I didn't do the promotion sequence the way I wanted to. I was testing different things in a promotional sequence. I now have gotten things right, a couple things right in a promotional sequence. And moving forward, another reason for doing the virtual summits for me is to grow my lists. And so I brought you on board with one virtual summit. But you offered to work with me on one of the my last virtual summit, and you showed me what was fascinating was you had something I hadn't given thought to as far as lead generating for the summit. And so we tested it out. You said you had done it with people before, and it worked like a charm. And I'll let you tell about that if you want to tell about that. But the key factor that you did, it worked like a charm. It doubled what I expected as the leads that I would get out of a summit, and I really liked that. And the other thing that I liked is that I delegated part of my summit process away to you. And in doing so, it helped show me again that it helped remind me that, teamwork is involved in putting on the summit. And you were able to take some of the pressure off of my thought process, and especially the pressure of where my failure was previously. So I really appreciated that.
How do you let go and trust someone?
I
I mean,
don't.
you don't. But you
The,
gave part of a responsibility to me.
because I talked with you enough times to know what your personality was like, who you had worked for was somebody that I was also engaged in conversation with, the combination. I know that the vetting process, part of it was on my part, and hearing what you had to say and how you did things. Part of it was in the conversations of who you worked with. And I know that person vetted you heavily or a lot more heavily. And so just, I went, and the things that you said you were going to do and the concepts you said you were going to employ, that combination, I said, it's worth a try. And staying in communication with you, the things got done. So I don't do it a lot. And that's where I'm trying to get back to, um, the same goes for my team members. There was one person, we had the same coaching, the coaching of the same principles pretty much. I could tell in the way he did things. And when I learned that, and then I learned how he did things, and I worked with him for several months, then I realized he's somebody I could continue working with, and that's how it works for me.
I spoke with someone who wanted me to help, but she found out that I knew what she knew. And I asked her, would she like to work with someone who knows what she knows? Or would she want to find someone who knew a little less? And she said she would prefer to work with someone who knew more than what she knew, but she knows a lot, as we
Hmm.
all do when we host summits. So that's why I asked, how did you know when to let go and let someone else help? But
Well, putting on a summit, there's just so many tasks. I don't know if you know the TV show In Living Color,
yeah,
but there was a clip that they use over and over again about being I being Jamaican, the clip was about being Jamaican. They have a job, they have like 8 jobs. They are a barber, they are a cook, they are this, they are that. And I'm always reminded to that skit, to those skits when I'm putting on the summit, because when you're putting on the summit, you're the interviewer. For me, I do the videography behind the scenes. I edit the videos. I do the promotional part. I do the design. I do the setup of the software setups. I do. The list just goes on, and it starts with I create the strategy from the get-go. And again, it relates to what is the ultimate goal of my summit. And the ultimate goal of my summit for me is to create a list of, to grow my list of people, to grow my exposure, to grow the exposure of the summit speakers, and to give my audience an opportunity to learn from other people things related to what I'm going to be teaching them. And so, there's it's just a system. It's just a systematic process, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah. Oh,
And there's a lot of softwares that'll do it too. So that's one of the fascinating things, is how many softwares are popping up, how many systems are popping up to be able to allow you to run your summit.
what's your favorite right now?
My favorite right now is what's easiest for me. And what's easiest for me is using my Kartra, because I use virtual summits and I do pre-recorded everything. But I've looked at you like Hey Summit, and
Yes.
I've been inside Hey Summit. You've demonstrated Hey Summit to me and shown me how that works. That looks really easy. But again, for me personally, for me to do a next summit, if I was not going to do everything on it, if I could let go of it completely, then I would say, hey, somebody like you, I'd say, hey, take over on the summit platform that you like to use. Just make sure I know how to use it during the summit process. But again, I'm not doing it live. So since I'm not doing it live, it's just a matter of making sure the systems are set up and ready to work. I can double check everything and then launch it. There are other summit softwares that kind of, some of the names are escaping me at this moment. Virtual Summit software is the one that I launched. My initial one was done with. That was pretty easy to learn. I know that it's going to be ready for an update soon. But there's a lot of them. And the things that people don't think about with the summits are, you do have your nurturing sequence after the summit or leading up to the summit. You have your email sequences. You got to write your emails. That's another one of the jobs. You have the whole marketing sequence. You get them in, you get them signed up. Are you going to monetize your summit? Getting the structures of how you're going to capture the monetization, connecting those capabilities like your PayPals and your Stripes to the ability to collect money on the summit. And what are you going to do after the summit? Is the interview going to be just dead there? You're going to record it? You're going to offer it? Is that going to be part of your monetization process? If so, what are you going to be doing? How are you doing all that? There's just so many elements, and you just want all the software to be able to deliver all the components and the sequences and the way that it works, and with the deliverability and the emails that it's going to get to your interested attendee.
Yeah, it is a lot after the summit, a lot of things to repurpose, a lot of things to repackage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it about pre-recording that you like, that you, because I hadn't seen you do a live one. Will you do a live one? No. Why not?
I don't intend to do a live one. I've been on a lot of live events, and it's just draining. And
Oh.
and for me, I mean, I would be a speaker on one. I don't like to go live. I don't want to go on a physical stage. I know I will have to. I spent years being as a school teacher. You're out and you're standing up in front of everybody, doing all that in front of everybody. I know me. I don't always like to do that sort of thing. And the virtual ability, what I like about it is just it's all the digital process. I like working on everything, but the digital process. Uh, this is my, I've done a couple of live interviews, 2 or 3, I can't remember. And live interviews, I wouldn't normally even do live interviews before I started all this. back in September, you would have been hard pressed to have me do a live interview back then. But in the right subject matter, in the right thing, I would say yes. I don't intend to do live summits at this stage, at this point, because the things that with a live summit that I know that can happen is you got to get everybody in the at the same place. And so, yes, you're virtual if you're doing a virtual summit. Yes, it's easier to get everybody to that, but you got to make sure everybody arrives on time. You got to make sure everybody's where they need to be on the right time frame. For me to do a live summit, I'll have to have a bigger team of people to help me to make sure it's all happening, because I would just stress out, and my personality type would be, making sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and that's a lot of stress that I don't really want at this stage.
Understand.
Yeah, you asked me earlier about how did I come up with my micro summit series as a concept. It's funny because I got into the concept of doing virtual summits, was born out of training I have in lead generation. Or I say training, it comes from a book from a lead generator that I follow. His name is Tom Poland. He's in Australia, and he's from New Zealand. Anyway, Tom, when I first got, started calling myself a lead generator, a lead generation strategist, and things of that nature, I went out and kind of investigated who's out there in that world using similar phrasing, similar keywords. And I found Tom Poland, and in Tom Poland, one of the things he was saying is, as you look at who your target market is, your target audience, you have to start looking at uh, how you're going to align with them. And everybody's target audience and target market doesn't have the same needs or the same wants. And so basically, for coaches and solopreneurs and whatnot, you really want an audience that is information seekers to some extent. And so, I know solopreneurs have they're doing everything. They're trying to do a lot of everything. And when they're trying to do that, they might need the information you have, but they need it packaged in a way that it's going to be difficult for them. They have to be really committed to say, I'm going to spend 3 days on this weekend learning this information 8 hours a day, on and on and on. So they don't always have the time frame to consume it all. So my thinking was, number one, summits help you use other people's networks, because their speaking audiences are become a part of yours, and yours become a part of theirs. So you're sharing that. And so my purpose was to get other people's networks involved. But another thing was that I thought I have difficulty wanting to stay focused with topics for 8 hours a day for 3 days on a weekend, and knowing that I have all these other tasks to accomplish. And so, my thought was, if you get to the gist of some of the headaches and problems that people are having, and address those problems with, solutions to them, then you can do that in a shorter period of time. And so I decided to put together a summit. And then I started saying, business, there's so many different digital marketing channels. People are going to have different needs. It's something I might be able to do on a consistent basis. So I started thinking about it and started thinking, then that's a lead generation activity that I can do on a consistent basis, with the ultimate goal of doing it month to month, but starting off where I'm at right now with the mindset of doing it every 6 to 8 weeks. And then, as I get the processes set up and get it more systematized, I can move it into being a monthly series. And so my interviews are done in 20 and 30 minutes. And I go in there with a preparation of knowing what I roughly want to ask them about, and what I want to ask them about relates to the theme of that particular event, and towards my ultimate topic sequence. And so, that's how I got to the virtual summit series. And I'm at a stage right now where, I didn't read his latest book, but I know that same thing, Tom Poland's latest book, I didn't realize he was doing something similar. So I had the mindset of doing virtual summits. And then in his latest book, I learned that he's doing, basically, he calls it webinars, but his concept is he has 3 or 4 speakers on his webinars every month, and his lead generation is coming from his webinars. He's been doing it for a couple of years, and he's doing these topics where he brings other people in and growing his list by doing that and having these speakers related to his subject matter. So I developed it in parallel, kind of from some of the ideas I learned from him, kind of some from my own thinking. And then, I actually, on my list of books to read, that's going to be my next one, just to kind of see what he does differently than what I'm doing currently, and see if there's a reason. Maybe it's because it's more manageable. Maybe it's because it'll be done, more easily, because he has fewer speakers every month, but he's doing it every month. Whereas I'm trying to do 8 speakers, and maybe, I'm doing 8 speakers every 2 months. And so, maybe there's a reason I need to read his book and change it.
Yeah. I understand the modeling concept, and it does seem like a good strategy. I did try to do like a mastermind once a month. I really thought my target audience was freelance graphic designers because that's who I said in the name. This is for freelance
Right.
graphic designers, but coaches would show up. So I made a pivot after that. But yeah. So
Isn't it interesting how sometimes your offerings will, again, it's the power of attraction. It's the attraction, like I call it, the ideal buyer attraction formula. And if you put the right, you have the right marketing message, you have the right, in the right audience, then you don't have to pursue them. They're going to pursue you. You're attracting them. And so the whole thing about lead generation is to understand how to do that. And sometimes it might not be the your message that it's like I go back to fishing. You might have a stink bait on the hook and you're trying to find a panfish. And the reality is, you get your line out too deep with the stink bait and you start catching catfish one after another. And you realize, oh, maybe this bait is better for catfish, and that's what you did. You pivoted. So you just pivot to, you have to make a choice. Do I want to continue with who I'm attracting? You're either going to change your messaging and you're going to change your target audience, and accept them.
yeah. The only thing I really changed about my messaging was instead of saying freelance graphic designers, I now say business coaches. Oh.
There you go. There you go. Now, Erica, I met you through Collaborate. Are you a member of JVIC?
I am not. I did join their
Uh,
Facebook group and I did sign up for another collaborate for March.
Okay. The reason I ask is because when you are a JVIC, this is a plug for JVIC. I never would have thought I would be doing this,
Brand
but
ambassadorship.
yes, it is. This is a great example of it. But I've had many coaches and they've talked about different things and everything wasn't aligned. In JVIC, and Rich Gurman and Iman, a guy, when that their teachings, everything stays in alignment from A through Z. And I bring this up because I'm in a course right now that is, specifically, it's about this process. It's about some of these processes, and it's one of the things I would say, if you have an opportunity to get into it, because there's just so much that you're going to be learning. It's just like my system. You learn from here, from there, from here and there. You don't know which goes in what order. You don't know how to fit them together, but they teach things in a method. But the more I listen to Iman, the more I realize he's a master at making sure everything connects the right way and makes it fluid and helps people. So
Yeah.
here's a quick plug for them.
I did talk to a process engineer about strategy and summits, and she said the key thing would be consistency,
Mm-hmm.
putting out your information every day. And she stressed every day,
Mm-hmm.
and that would help. I believe that. The strategy you were talking about earlier, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, using their event platform and putting
Mm-hmm.
out content on there every day to talk about the event, promote the event. Yeah. Also, with promotions, any platform that has something new out, if you use it, you'll get more attention. So, like LinkedIn has their what are those little bubbles called? Um, I can't remember. I'm having a blank moment, like you did earlier. Stories, LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
So they just came out, and if it's like your first time using it and you got something to promote, your entire list will see it. I like
Right.
that.
Right. One of the things about LinkedIn that I will say, my background is, strongest in SEO, because that's where the original digital marketing was 10 years ago. When I started, you had to do wear a lot of digital marketing hats, but one of them is being Microsoft paid advertising. And the reason it's a big deal is because it relates to LinkedIn, because Microsoft purchased LinkedIn about 1.5 years ago. Because of that, now some of the concepts that were inside of LinkedIn that are now available in Bing, you can't do in Google Ads. In that, we know in LinkedIn what somebody's job title is, what their company is, what their company size is, who they, pretty much who their target audiences are, things of that nature. So in the paid advertising world, we, know that Bing is the biggest. It's like 65% of the the search engine marketplace. And so paid advertising is biggest there and most costly there. But a secondary network to go behind if you're doing paid advertising with Bing is to, if you're doing paid advertising, is to have a look at Bing, because if you are like us and you're, writing to reach solopreneurs or people of that nature, Bing now has that group of people tied to LinkedIn, in their ties to LinkedIn, and so they can promote that advertising to them. So I like LinkedIn even more than I used to, when it was kind of its isolated self, not connected with everybody else, but because there's now more benefits to using it. And you taught me a great one, how to use it with your virtual summits. Uh-oh, no sound.
Sorry. I think it's the 5th biggest platform, LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And back to Microsoft relationship with it, the reason that LinkedIn will spread even more is because of their connection, and the fact that when you purchase anything that is an Android base, or you purchase anything that is non Apple product, what is usually coming on it as your search engine, it doesn't usually come with Google, unless it's a Chrome based product. It's going to come with Microsoft. And so Microsoft is going to serve Microsoft Edge now. And with Microsoft Edge and Microsoft, it comes their ties to LinkedIn and things of that nature. So anyway, it's kind of forgotten in this, in that second or third position, but it's just, another tip that I would recommend to people to give some consideration to. And the demographic on Microsoft products is a little different. It's a little more, let's put it like this: their average income is a little bit higher, or is significantly higher. Their techno savvy is a little bit higher, and things of that nature. So anyway, enough of that soapbox. I'm not getting paid by them.
It's okay if you are, Moti brand ambassador?
Yes, I do have, I do have my resources pages. I actually need to be putting out, a lot of the things I like to support, the other businesses I do business with. If I find that they're beneficial for me, then that means, I know they're going to be beneficial for others. And so I will be, I literally have a website I was going to be doing a lot of sharing that with. I haven't done it. It's kind of on hold right now as a project, but I probably will get back to saying these are why I like these products, because I know in my courses and in my presentations, it's always going to come out. I use this because of this. I use that because of that. So
I would like that
absolutely.
as an email,
What's that? Me to
your
email you some of
resources.
the
Yeah.
resources?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a resource page, and I have all of these are going to go on that resource page. I just haven't put that together, so I will be working on that.
If you had like a newsletter and you talked about one product at a time.
That's what it's going to be. It's a blog, actually. It's a blog, and that's what I was going to be doing in the blog. So let me make a note here.
Like, if you like
And
this one, check out more on my blog. Yeah. So I would
yeah,
sign up for that.
that's 100% what it was going to be. Um, the ones I had seen that were similar to it were in the affiliate marketing and affiliate product world.
Yeah.
Mine is going to be, might be some products from the affiliate market world, but mine is going to be more in the real world. So more of what you would find online, looking up more what you might find in AppSumo, but there's also going to be those affiliate products, because some of those affiliate products make the jump from that affiliate world, like Canva and things like that, jump into the regular world mainstream. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when do you start your promotion? I know you want to start at the middle of the maze or the end of the maze. Where does the promotion part fit into that, into your
Well,
process?
the promotion is pretty much 10 days out, maybe 2 weeks. I'll say 2 weeks out, and it's a little bit longer than that because I got the people who are going to help promote it have to be ready. So the speakers have to be ready. So my process is a 4-week process in which I start the first 2 weeks of it are heavy on the get my speakers in and have it organized of what I'm getting ready to do. And then the timing that I've struggled with is getting with the speakers, who giving them the information to have ready for the event in a timely fashion, having the social banners created, having the things of that nature ready, because the interviews, I've been doing 7 interviews. They go pretty fast. They're a half hour each, and I've gotten better at literally we can get in and get out in a half hour. So the promotion part starts when I can give them their information and then have here's the start date. And I want them to at least share 2 or 3 times. I would love for them to make an event on their LinkedIn profile. That's going to be one of the things I work harder at getting them to do over time. But yeah, 10 days, it works really well. And the reality is I run it on a Thursday, and I've been doing replays on Saturday. But by really starting heavily, especially the week of, reminding them daily, and and I like maybe 8 to 10 days out if I have the resources to help me get it done. If I can start saying this is coming, you can build an expectation, you can build an interest, you can build an awareness over that process on different social media platforms and lead up to it.
So your summit is finished before you start promoting.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In many ways, I mean, the speaker interviews aren't, but everything's organized and almost ready to roll. And then the last 2 weeks are really focused on getting the interviews done, cropping the videos since I'm doing recorded interviews, getting those set up, and getting the promotional stuff, having it going out there. And that can literally be like if it's a 4-week process, by week 2, if I have the majority of my social media stuff set, then all I got to do is take the pictures of the images of the speakers who confirmed, put them on the social graphics, and then every day put a new one out there. Come check out this person talking about podcasting. Come check out this person talking about, Facebook ads or whatever.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You
Well,
have
thank you.
generously shared with us a lot. So I appreciate that. And I thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Glad you came. So I have to wrap up now. And I want to ask, is there anything about lead generation that you want us to know? Because I know that's your thing. And you've already generously given us a lot.
Figure out how to create a strategy so that you could have a customized, tailored approach.
Yeah, it's really good.
It works.
I believe it, especially all the things you've told us so far. I believe it. Well, thank you for your time, Joe. Oh, Joe, tell people where they can find you.
Yes, my company is Envy Digital Solutions, but my biggest 2 things that I would suggest is flipyourmarketingflops.com is my virtual summit series. Flipyourmarketingflops.com, and leadgenerationdomination.com is my system where I promote my system and where my courses will be promoted from and things of that nature.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Absolutely. Erica, thank you for having me today.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.